Absolutely. Yeah.
This way I'm representing. Wasn't enough. Or my bass. I don't know if it's. What's up, everybody? It's JD from Black Label Society and Cycle of Pain. Hanging out with Rock This Magazine right now. I'm going to speak to my buddy Eric, man. What's happening, brother?
As far as the music goes, I mean, when did you get bit by that bug?
Actually, you know what? I was bit probably when I was about 5 years old, or 4 years old. I grew up with, I had three older brothers and an older sister. So, they had like Zeppelin flying around and Jethro Tull and all these kind of bands and stuff. So I always loved to sing. And I remember, I guess I was maybe 3 or 4 years old. My father brought me into work and he stood me up on his desk and I sang Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head when I was like 3 years old. I don't really remember it, but that's what they told me. So I have to believe them. But, man, I always loved music growing up, and in third grade is when it really, really hit me because I was in third grade. I remember this. My buddy asked me, he goes, "What's your favorite band?" I said, "Jethro Tull." He's like, "Jethro Tull?" I said, "Yeah, man. It's like Locomotive Breath got him by the balls." You know what I mean? I was like, that was so cool. Being a kid, hearing that, by the balls. So that's my favorite band. I said, "Who's yours?" He said, "Kiss." I said, "Kiss? Who the hell's Kiss?" And he showed me that famous picture of them on top of the Empire State Building, and I said, "They're the best." I was like, I pointed Gene Simmons. I was like, "What does he do?" And they said, "He plays bass." I said, "Well, that's what I want to do." Because I loved horror movies, and I loved, Dracula, Frankenstein, all the King Kong, Godzilla, everything, all that stuff. And that just like came to life for me, So I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. So I immediately started spitting blood and breathing fire.
No shit.
Yeah. And check this out. So we're kids, right? We dressed up like them, you know what I mean, on the weekends or whatever. Went up to the store, bought fruit punch, and like jumped off the fences, like pretended like we were playing guitar in the air, and spit fruit punch out all over the place, So then I moved up to food dye, which was actually better because that looked much cooler, looked more like blood. And then so I had older brothers, right? So they wanted to torture me. So my one brother goes to me, "You want to spit blood for real?" I said, "Of course I do, right? Who doesn't?" You know what I mean? So we had the metal ice trays at the time. Right, this is way before probably mostly those. Everybody's time,
yeah,
but
click
mine.
them and they loosen them up.
Yeah, but it was all metal, right?
Right.
So he's like, "Take your tongue and stick it on the metal on the ice tray, and then rip it off." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah," thinking I'm gonna be like, this sucks, right? And I did it, and I spit blood, and I loved it. I was like, "This is amazing." He goes, "You are definitely fucked up." You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I spit blood for real, and then we used to take the lighters, put them in your mouth.
Oh yeah.
On the bus, on the bus to school, be blowing fire. You know what I mean? So,
on the bus.
Some people, yeah, totally, man. So some people's hairs got caught on fire and stuff. It's it's pretty funny. Yeah, it was awesome. But I grew out of that, So.
Well, today, with some of the bands, I'm sure every once in a while you get an opportunity to go into a quieter place, not big scale like you're used to, and see some newer bands playing. What do you see that they're lacking that maybe could push them a little further?
And they're all missing the blues boat. They are all missing the blues boat. Man, years ago, all music had some form of blues in it, soul music. It was all in there. The 70s was the greatest for me. That was my greatest period of music. And a lot of stuff. The styles were great, man. the big button things and all that. The collars. I mean, who didn't like that? But anyway, that stuff was just, there was just so much soul, emitting from all music, And nowadays, kids, they'll study, like they'll learn some things, but it's mostly technique stuff. They miss that whole, like the David Gilmour stuff, even just, all the guys. Ulrich Roth, I loved old Scorpions. Ulrich Roth, very underrated guitar player, was insane. He had blues everywhere, because he loved Jimi Hendrix, So even Sabbath, when they came out, before that, they were like a blues band. And listen to all their riffs. It's just really coming from like blues scales and stuff. And a lot of that stuff kind of went away over the last generation. They really just study, because when Yngwie came out, it blew our minds, you know what I mean? But these kids are grasping the surface, They're not really delving into what they dug, Like if you love Zach, like a guitar player like Zach, I say, well, listen to Frank Marino, listen to Al Di Meola, listen to John McLaughlin. Those are the guys that he dug. If you're like me, listen to Steve Harris. And then later on, I love Jaco Pastorius, and James Jamerson is the godfather of bass as far as we're all concerned, because he's the man who really created the melodic bass. So like that's what I tell people. I said, go back to our roots. Don't think you're gonna play blues by listening to Zach. You'll play blues, but listen to what he listened to. Listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know what I mean? Listen to the good stuff, you know? That was our teachers, you know, growing up, listening to records. And back then, man, I mean, our work ethic was a lot, it was more than the kids nowadays. It sucks because you have YouTube now. You could see Ulrich Roth playing Sails of Charon lead. When we were kids, man, we had to put the record on over and over, put it back. Or then when cassettes came out, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? And it was just, you know, a lot more into it we were. Plus, there was a lot less going on. You know, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have video games at your house. We didn't have all this technology, you know what I mean? So we really... You know, necessity is the mother of invention. That's what they say, right? So, like, I figured out stuff. You know, like, plugged into my stereo with my bass and put the play and record on with the cassette. You know what I mean? To play along to the records. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And it was a great time. But nowadays, the kids should be even better because of all this technology. But it seems very hollow to me. You know what I'm saying? When they play. They got good technique. They're clean. They got some good scales. Some modal stuff's happening. But their blues and their overall phrasing just isn't what it was, man. That's all.
They're not making it count. I mean, it's just like with photography. Back then we had 36 shots. We had to make those count. Now they go off and burn off a digital roll of 2,000.
Right. Exactly.
To find that one shot. So technology, can work for us or against us.
It's done both, man.
What do you feel that that you've seen from technology that's like you're happy to have, but could also be that double-edged sword?
I mean, I love the fact that I can record at home now, and it sounds pretty dope. You know what I mean? Because that years ago you had to go to a studio and spend a lot of money to get your stuff sounding good. But nowadays that technology enables you at home, you know what I mean, to really make stuff sound good. Now that's good, and then it's bad because now, like even me, I can play drums now because I can go back and then I can play this drum beat 20 times or one fill, you know what I mean, and then I'm like, all right, that one sounded good. Here you go, take that, put it in, you know what I mean. Years ago you had to work for it. Nowadays it's a lot easier. You can take something slow and just speed it up or whatever, you know what I mean. So there's a lot of that, a lot of shortcuts, which again, it just gives you it's hollow, you know what I mean? It's not like substance like what we had, you know what I mean?
Are we losing our music, and what do we got to do to get out of it?
Man, I think music is definitely being lost, and especially, again, I think it's everything. It's the accessibility of everything. The internet. It's really took the mystique out of music completely. Because when I was a kid, you had to look at the records. You had to look at buy a magazine, Cream magazine or whatever, hope that had your band was in it. You know what I mean? So you'd open up and then I would cut the pictures out, put them on the wall, you know what I mean? But it was such a thing, and it was such like, you didn't know. It was a mystique because you didn't see Gene Simmons every day now in his bathroom or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It was like, I don't know. And it was all magical to us when we were kids, like, even to go see Randy Rhoads play. Like, me and Zach talk about this all the time. We didn't know they stayed at hotels. Yeah. We didn't know that. We had no idea. I thought they were transported in and then transported out. I have no idea, as a kid.
Or truck stops.
Whatever, yeah. We had no idea. It was all magic, you know what I mean? Because it was the mystique. But now you could see us on our tour bus or whatever, taking a piss, whatever. Zach in the bathroom again, whatever, pissing on his lawn, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So the mystique is gone, man. That's where the technology hurt us, man.
Switching gears here, what do you feel was probably the most memorable moment for you in your career?
Well, meeting you today. This is one of them.
Wow, you heard that, folks.
Definitely, this has been great. Awesome. Well, man, there's been so many. I've been so blessed, man. There's been so many great moments. Playing Madison Square Garden for me was pretty insane because I live in Jersey my whole life and Ranger fan. All the Garden Knicks. So getting to play there was awesome. I played with Vinnie Moore at the time. Amazing guitar player. Plays with the UFO now for years, and he was an instrumental guy before that. Insane. And it was great because Zach was in town, actually, so he actually got to come down and see me play at the Garden, which was, a dream come true, for both of us,
Wow.
So, and he's played the Garden with Ozzy now, a few years back, so now we both did that, man. But we got to get Black Label there, and then we'll be all set. But that's one of them, man. I mean, there's a million. I mean, we could go on, but that's definitely killer, man.
What about inspiration from a fan. Have you ever been in a situation where a fan just like took you out of a place where you were in some funk and then all of a sudden, just pushed you to that extreme?
Well, you know what? Every time I go out on stage and see the fans, it's inspiring. You know what I mean? No matter how you're feeling, if I'm tired, or shitty, our shitty days like fucking paradise to somebody else. So you know what I'm saying? So I keep that in perspective all the time. But if you're tired, whatever, you don't feel shitty, you go out there and you see the kids just going nuts. It's like, all right, here we go. You know what I mean? They carry you. You know what I mean? Through there. One time in particular, this is before I got back in Black Label, like a year before I got back in Black Label. This was like 2004. I was at I went to see them at the House of Blues. Black Label was playing, and this kid was in a wheelchair, and they took him up. They had him crowd surfing in the wheelchair, and he was headbanging and going nuts. I was like, dude, that's amazing. That's the best shit I ever seen.
Devotion.
So, and turns out a year later, I was back in Black Label. Then now it was 2005. We played in San Fran, and I seen this kid in a wheelchair, and the red hair and long. I was like, wait a minute, weren't you at the LA show? He's like, yeah, that was me. I was like, dude, you're my fucking hero, man. So then, and good kid is Papa Wheelie. I call him my son. My redheaded stepchild. Wow. But yeah, that inspired me big time, man. So I got him the colors, man, because he deserved it. But that was totally inspiring.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Now, what about a moment? Because everybody's got these. It's just like you're pumped up, you're ready to go, and then it just seems like you're hitting a brick wall. What kind of moments like that that you've learned to avoid now?
Well, I just try to avoid Zach at all costs. Stay as far away from him as you can. Because if you're thinking you're in a funk then, after you leave him, forget it. It's just like an ultra funk. Funkadelic funk. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, everything's been pretty good.
All right. So now you've got some kid coming up to you. He tells you that he wants to start a career playing bass. Your first advice to him?
Besides
to quit the music
right.
business, or just get some pants with a hole in the back, if you want to be in the music business.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I would tell him just to, you have to play as much music as you can with as many people as you can, and be as recognized as you can. Just jam with as many people as you can, because you don't know who you're going to meet. You could be the best guitar player in your bedroom forever. But until you go out there and jam with some other people and meet other people, nobody's going to see you, So, I mean, I met Zach, we were, 18 or 19 before Ozzy, So, and then he happened to get, like, the biggest gig in the world. And, as my friend, that was, like, one of my biggest breaks. You know what I mean? The fact that he did, So, if I hadn't met Zach, who knows where I'd be? I'd probably be a lot better off. But anyway, you just never know. But I just tell people, play as much as you can and with as many people as you can in different styles of music. If you want to make a living in this business, it's really it's even harder anymore because there's so much of everything. But I tell kids, listen to all kinds of music. They say I hate hip hop. Well, listen to it, man, because there's some good shit in there. You just don't know. You know what I mean? Listen to jazz, listen to funk, listen to rock, metal. I listen to everything, classical. Growing up, I was into, Randy Rhoads was like my biggest hero coming out of metal, but then when Yngwie came out, it was like, oh my God, he blew everybody's mind, because I loved Al Di Meola already. So Yngwie was like Al Di Meola on steroids, with this insanity, and then he made me search more, and I had heard Ulrich Roth already, so I was like, oh my, Ulrich was blowing our minds already, and Randy and Eddie Van Halen, but when Yngwie came out, it was like another level. So it was pretty inspiring back then,
What about discipline as far as, is practice for you sound checks and gigs, or do you still...
I'm still noodling when I'm home, playing, watching the Ranger games, got my bass playing, playing piano. I'm more writing anymore than practicing. When we were younger, I would, when I was going to Berklee College of Music in Boston, I would be practicing scales, patterns of fours, threes, all this stuff, modes up and down the neck, every key, different string skipping things, practicing my arpeggios. But then later on, as I got older, the practicing went away and it was more playing. every time I pick up the bass, I'll write something, rather than just, noodle just through like modes and stuff. But I play drums more now, and piano and guitar and bass and sing. So, there's always something going on in my house. I'm either playing my piano or playing the bass or playing drums or recording or something.
And gear? I mean, what advice do you have in the search of the thousands of options?
Well, yeah, exactly. Again, all the companies now can build good instruments. It's not like like my Schecters that my signature basses aren't that expensive. And they're killing, dude. I mean, anything that Schecter made, like right off the shelf, I liked. It was pretty good, very inexpensive, and you just got to find something that suits you. If your hands are big or small, you might want like more of a jazz neck if you're smaller. But I like the spacing for myself, so like my spacing is a little bit wider, and my neck's flatter in the back. So especially like when I play 5-string, it's easier on my hand because it's more like this. So it's not so much like around like the baseball bat, because that gets really tiring all night playing 5 like that. So when I got to do my own bass, that was like my number one thing: wide neck, but a nice flat radius around the back. And that suits me awesome.
What about compensating for things like, say, I mean, you want to go with effects, but as soon as you drop in some effects, you just kind of lose
all the bass.
Yeah,
so you know what I do?
What's that?
I run 2 sounds. Right, so I'll have my main head, or I'll have 2 heads. Right, just say I have two Harkey Kilo heads. Right, I run them, separately, like in stereo, and then on the one side I'll have my effects. So when I press on like my distortion, it only changes over here, and over here stays the same. So you never lose that bottom and that thickness. I did that forever because that was my pet peeve. Is like, yeah, press on the distortion, then there's no bass anymore. It's gone. Or if there was bass, it was out of control and woofy and terrible. So this way, whatever, if I put a flange on over here, it still has the reel behind it. So it really gives you never lose that, So that's what I do.
What other great thing or that you found or stumbled upon that you think really helped you out?
I guess weed. Definitely. When I stumbled across that, it changed my life.
It'll be legal someday.
Thank God. But anyway, besides that, just music, man. Just stumbling upon like great music. Like one of my favorite songs on the bass of all time is a Jackson 5 song that somebody bought me a cassette because they knew I liked funk, and I was like, Jackson 5, whatever, and I put it on. There's this one song called Darling Dear, and it's like my favorite song of all time. So that was a cool stumble, you know what I mean? But, just when you're younger, you're more explorative, so you should try to keep that still when you get older. Especially now with the internet, man. I mean, we can explore anything. It's pretty insane.
You touched on something earlier, was talking about, just technical. There's a lot of great artists, Uli John Roth. I mean, he talks about how he gets himself in a place that when he's on stage, he's not himself. He's
another being.
Yeah, he's able to look down on the stage and see himself on stage, but he's able to do that with a flip of a switch.
Right.
I mean,
I think we all have it in us, like as performers. When I went to music college, I majored in performance. I wanted to perform. That's all I ever wanted to do. So when we get on stage, it's a switch. It's like being a pro football player or a baseball player. You'll be at practice, whatever. When it's the big game, this switch goes on, and it's on, dude. And definitely, we're different. We're different people because when we're up there, not like it's war, whatever. But you treat it like this is it. This is why I'm put on this earth, and I got to do this better than anybody else. Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You just got to be as great as you can all the time, man.
One of the things is like, I think you really hit it there where you're talking about that you have to perform.
Yeah.
I see a lot of guys that are standing up there technically, playing their gear right, but it's like they could care less whether there was any audience out there.
Yeah, that sucks, man. As a fan, I would hope, dude, if I was a kid and Randy like actually looked at me, I'd be like, dude, he looked at me. You know what I mean? That's really cool. So I never, you never forgot that, and yeah, we're like go-go dancers up there. You know what I mean? You got to shake your ass,
All right. If you could go back in time and do something different, you can change anything, whether it's music related or not.
Right.
What would that be?
Well, I might not go to that club where I met Zach that one night, but besides that, you know what, man? I'm just living the hand I was dealt, man. They're very thankful and blessed to have it. So I wouldn't change anything, man. I might change, well, if I could, I'd make people quit smoking cigarettes, you know what I mean, or stuff that I knew that would ultimately, take them too early, you know what I mean. But people do what they do, man. So I wouldn't change nothing.
That's awesome. I mean, it's most of the people that are sitting where you are, whether, I even talked to one guy who got a lot of inspiration. He was sent to prison for years.
Uh-huh.
And, he got all his inspiration from there. He says, I wouldn't have changed that either because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah. So everything makes us who we are today.
Exactly.
We've got a gentleman in Ohio that has a question for you. His name is J.C. Bittens.
Okay.
And he wants to know, how do you compensate your tone when using wireless instead of using a good old-fashioned cable? Do you hear and feel a difference?
I definitely do. With the wireless, it adds like another compression. You know what I mean? Which it kind of gets rid of some of the people will hate wireless because it's called the tone sucker. It sucks the tone out. But with distorted guitar, I definitely wouldn't use it. But with bass, I almost kind of like what it does to the signal sometimes. Plus, just to have the freedom of the wireless, man, is nice on these stages. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, we're running all around. Me and Nick are always switching sides. My cord would be all tangled up. I'd be kicking it out. You know what I mean? So for that, I love it. But in the studio, I'm not using the wireless. I use the cord. But you know what? Like I said, I don't mind what it does to the signal. I think it kind of tightens it up a little bit sometimes.
You got a poster coming out, and I imagine that's going to be sold at your concerts. That's done by an amazing artist. Can you tell us?
Ron Bailey, yeah. He got in touch with me and over the internet or Facebook or something, and he's like, yeah, he's just introduced himself and told me what he's been doing, and I saw his work. He did Sonny Barger, unbelievable paintings that he does of these people. Slash, amazing, the Jerry Lee Lewis one. He does stuff for the Hall of Fame. He did Jim Brown for the Hall of Fame, which he actually sent me, which is unbelievable. He's just doing something with Gail Sayers now.
Wow.
Really insane. Just an insane artist, really great dude, man. And he hooked me up with a lot of good people. You, for instance.
Yeah.
So Ronnie's killing it, man. And his name's Ron Bailey, and hopefully, he sent me the print that he did of me. It really came out really cool. Even though it's me, it's still pretty cool, man. And we're both gonna sign it, and then put them up online. On my own website, my John J. DeServio website, or my Cycle of Pain website, which is my other band outside of Black Label. Or maybe even on the Black Label site. But great artist, man. Great dude too, man.
Are they going to be available at any of the upcoming concerts?
You know what? We're not going to be touring until next year, so possibly, I might be able to get them out there. That'd be cool. Because I think our fans will dig it, man. I think it really came out great.
Oh yeah, they're totally a work of art. It's not just like an ordinary poster. These are something that you frame.
Yeah, and he did it freehand, which is it really. I was shocked because when I saw it, I was like, "What? Did you just do it on the computer?" He's like, "No, man, that's watercolor." I'm like, "Damn, that's some badass shit. He did a good job, man."
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you so much. We got a lot of people that just absolutely love you. They follow you. It's like, wow, you're going to be talking to JD. It's just, so you've got a lot of fans out there that are.
Yeah, we do. Thank God for them. You know what I mean? Thank God we have so many great fans, because I wouldn't be able to do what I do, Zach, none of us, so we thank them constantly, because without them we wouldn't be here, So, and I hope to see them soon. And when I get back home, right now we're recording the new Black Label record. That's why I'm out here in Cali. And I'm going home for a while. And my band Cycle of Pain, we're releasing our EP in November. So I'm hopefully going to be doing some, release shows out in Jersey, New York and stuff when I go back east. And that's going to be in like November, December. And, You know, I'm psyched about that. I'm psyched about the new Black Label. So we got a lot of good stuff coming out. And then Blackened just came out, that came out amazing. And so we got a lot going on, man. You know,
Good.
Pretty cool.
Is there anything that it's like, you know, either you're on that tour bus and you got, you know, 500 miles to go, or you were just had some alone time and say, wow, man, I really wish the fans could see this, experience this, or know this about me or the band? Anything like that?
No. No, I don't want them to be on the bus, near anybody, because they would just hate us. No, they wouldn't. No, I mean, you know what? It's funny because like people, when they come out with us even for a day or two, they can't believe how really hard it is to, you know, just the traveling just beats you up so bad that it's really, you wouldn't think it would because you're on a beautiful $1 million bus playing Xbox, whatever. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like it's awesome. I mean, it's a dream come true all the time, and they would actually love it. So, but after a couple of days, people come out, they're like, "How do you do this, man? How do you do this? I want to go home." You know what I mean? It's like, well, you know, we got another 6 weeks. You know, it's like, oh my god, because people don't really get out that often. You know what I mean? So. It's pretty grueling sometimes, but that's it. You know, I mean, that's the hardest part. The hardest part is waiting for that hour on stage. The other 23 hours, it's kind of brutal. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you're just kind of bored because, you know.
That'd be badass. Yeah, that's how it's done. Fretless versus fret.
Well, fretless is what it says. There's no frets. It's fretless. So you can get that glissando sound. You know, it's just like, because on a fretted bass it would go bam, 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 like a fixed note. In here, you have all these notes, so you have to hit it. You know, you have to hit it like right on the line. You know what I mean? It's all got to be... And you could sing. You know, like that, the vibrato. You can't do that on a fretted.
No.
It's more like a violin, you know what I mean?
Beautiful.
And I love this one in particular. This is like, again, my signature. And, but this one has like no lines on it. I just have lines on the side, which definitely are needed, you know, for me especially. So it's a very hard instrument to play. I tell people I've been playing fretless badly for about 30 years now, so you know what I mean? It's a brutal instrument. It's hard, man.
Do you think if someone goes fretless for a while, then goes back to fretted, that you know, that improves their...
It definitely does. It helps everything, you know. It helps your overall, just like where you're hitting the notes. Because on the fretless, you're supposed to hit it right on the line, like right where the fret is on the guitar or the bass. And that's actually where the best sounding spot on the neck is. It's like right before the fret, like right there. You know, so it just helps you. It helps your ear too, because you have, you know, you can hear it when it's out of tune. That's why a lot of people won't play fretless. It's so hard, man. It's like violin. You know, it's a fretless instrument. It's just, but you don't get that sound on a fretted, you know.
Upright bass.
Yeah, it's like an upright bass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever, you know. Yeah.
Like, I hear your stomach growling, so we're gonna cut you loose. And,
Oh, is that what that was? Nice. Cool, man.
add a little behind the scenes there with the fretless bass.
Nice,
some
man.
growling. Man, that was badass.
Thanks, man. What's up, everybody? It's JD from Black Label Society, Cycle of Pain. You are watching Rock This Magazine.
Place running over my ear. Goose bumping weather.